I just published a new article on my website called 13 Signs That You're Not Lifting Heavy Enough. And I wanted to start with the video explaining what the best way for runners to lift is before we kind of go into different ways where I feel like runners don't. So, research really suggests that you should be doing heavier weight with lower repetitions. And the overall parameters that I will give my clients, whether they're physical therapy clients or performance clients, is that you should be doing somewhere, and there's a little bit of wiggle room here, but not a ton. That you should be doing 2 to 4 sets of an exercise for somewhere between 3 to 8 reps. You can go a little bit higher on the reps if it's like an isolated single joint type movement, but especially for compound lifts, I really even like to see in that 3 to 6 range. And you should be resting 2 to 3 minutes in between sets to really optimize what you're going for, which is strength and power, not so much endurance. And you should try to lift twice a week. There are some studies that show that you can do 2 or 3 times a week, but I really just suggest twice for runners. And there's also evidence to show that once you've built up a certain level of strength and familiarization with lifting, that you can go down to once a week. But to really build, and I think for most runners in most circumstances, lifting twice per week is the better option. And in terms of when to do it in relation to your running, this can be a lot more variable, in my opinion. You don't want to do them in the same session because there's something called the interference effect, where the way that you adapt to exercises is it's just different when you're doing endurance versus strength workouts. And it affects the strength side more than the endurance side. So it's not as big of a deal if you're a distance runner and you lift and run in the same session versus if you are a more strength based athlete doing cardio in the same session is more likely to affect the strength and hypertrophy and power and things like that. For runners, you still should be concerned because you do want to build strength in those same capacities. So I always recommend doing it on a separate day if you can. And if you can't do it a separate day, try to separate the sessions by 4 to 8 hours. So if you did a morning workout and then do the other one at lunch or like an after work kind of thing. So following these parameters is what's going to help you not fall into all these different 13 signs that you're not lifting heavy enough to improve your running performance that I'll be discussing over the next few days.